That is a good cup of local coffee. What's up, guys? Hope you're having an awesome day today. You know, I haven't really been making videos very often, I gotta admit. I haven't really been active on social media at all, for that matter, for like the past month and a half or so. Reason being, I'm training for an Ironman, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an insanely long triathlon, so swim, bike, and run, and it's just been taking so much of my time. I have 2 races. My first race is in a couple weeks, and then I have the Ironman in August. But after that, I can get back to creating and just really start pumping out some content for you guys, both like on Instagram, photos, but also just here, you know, putting out some content, putting out some tutorials, or just whatever kind of related to photography, videography. I have kind of a direction I want to go. But with that said, today I want to talk about something that I think is very important for beginner photographers, but also for photographers that have kind of been in the game for a while now. And that topic is how to find your own unique photographic style. So whenever I hear people talk about this, a lot of them are saying that you cannot teach style. Style is something that just takes time, and it's just something that kind of develops over time, and that you just need to be organic with it and just let it grow on its own. And I totally think that that is true to an extent. I think that in order to find your own photographic style, whether it's, you know, your shooting style or your editing style, it's going to take time. But I do think that there's a process that you can follow to kind of help you along your way. And that process involves, you know, not only recognizing things that inspire you and things that you like, but then learning how to bring that kind of vision that you have in your mind, that aesthetic vision that you have in your mind, to life into your photos. So I've broken down this process into 4 different stages, and I actually have a longer course on this related to finding your editing style. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link in the bio where I basically talk about how to find your editing style using Adobe Lightroom. So that's the tool that I choose, but it's relevant to kind of any form of editing software. It doesn't really matter. That's just the one that I use in the course. But today we're not specifically talking about editing. We're talking about photography as a whole. So the first step in finding your own photographic style 100% is find your inspiration. When I say find your inspiration, I mean find photos that not only inspire you from an aesthetic standpoint, like, oh, that looks really good, I love the way that photo looks, it's beautiful, but also from an emotional standpoint. So why do you like that photo? You know, does it make you feel warm inside? Does it make you feel sleepy? Like, I don't know, how does it make you feel? And I think that's important, right? Because one of the reasons why we find photos beautiful is not only the physical aesthetics of the photo, but also the emotions that the viewer feels as well. So some of the places that I find inspiration, Instagram is insane in 2019. There's just so much on there. And for me as a travel photographer, you know, when I go on there, there's so many travel photographers nowadays, which is great for me because there's so much inspiration. You know, I can pull from all these different people, and I really like what they did there, really like what this guy did, and I can kind of work it into my own work. So Instagram is great. The next thing I think is overlooked a lot is books, like a physical book. And the reason why I like books is because the presentation of the photos is a lot different. You know, on Instagram, where we consume most of our media nowadays, we are so confined to like one presentation, a grid. That's the only way you can consume content on Instagram. But if you go to a book, I mean, they have photos in different sizes, different pages, and they're arranged differently, and just the presentation of the photos is way different. And it's a different experience consuming photography in a physical book, right? So I always recommend, like, go to your local library or whatever. Like, some art stores have really cool photo books, and just check those out. Those are great forms of inspiration. And I think other forms of art are also really awesome for photographic inspiration, right? Like, photography started as this kind of break off of the painting scene. It started as the strive for realism, right? And they were like competing directly with painters. So I mean, there's a lot of history between photography and painting and all these other different forms of art. You don't need to find inspiration only from photography. You can find it in other places as well. Okay, so once you've found that inspiration, the second step is to really reflect on the inspiration. When I say reflect, I'm going to reflect in 2 different ways. Reflect emotionally, so look at the picture and try to break down, you know, what are the emotions that you're feeling? What are the emotions that you like to express in your work? And then the second thing is the stylistic aspects of that photograph or whatever form of inspiration you're looking at. What are the stylistic aspects of that photo that you like? Is it high in contrast? Is there a lot of subject matter going on? Is the composition minimal? Is the composition complex? Is it balanced? Is the edit like realistic, or is the edit super stylized with a lot of just crazy colors and a lot of different things going on? Look at a photo with an objective lens, right? Look at it and write down those things that you like. And I think this is a really important stage because it allows you to really identify some of the physical characteristics of a photo that you find appealing. And this is still something that I do now. So when I'm on Instagram and I find a photo that I like, I don't just mindlessly save that photo. I sit there and I look at it and I think, why do I like this photo? You know, what is it about this photo? Is it those deep, moody greens? Is it that those kind of bright blues? And how did the photographer get those blues? Like, what did they do to get there? I take note of those things because that only helps me improve my photographic abilities as well. Okay, so the third step, we've got our inspiration, we've really reflected on it. I think the third step is to copy and adapt. And this is something that I think a lot of people disagree with. They say, no, you shouldn't copy other artists, you shouldn't copy other photographers. And my only argument is why? Why can't we mimic other photographers? It's the best way to learn. I think if we can go out, we find a photo that we like, and we try our best to recreate that photo, there's so much learning going on there. And it really helps you learn how to capture those stylistic aspects that you like. It really makes you start thinking about all the different things that are going on in a photograph. And that's why I think mimicking or copying other photographers that inspire you is just an absolutely fantastic way to learn and to improve your photographic skills. But that's only part of it, right? You don't want to copy forever because then you're not going to be unique. And the point of this video is to find your own photographic style, right? Is to find something unique and so you can stand out. And you're not going to do that if you just copy forever. So you got to adapt, right? So once you go out, you're shooting those things and you're copying those other photographers, well, change something, change a few things, try to do the edit a little bit different, or, arrange the composition in a different way, or, add something that maybe that photographer didn't use and kind of slowly grow it into your own style. I like to tell this story. When I first came to Thailand, I was total noob photographer, but I was so inspired by these guys that were shooting like coffee and like food, and they were locals here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I was so like emotionally drawn to their work. So I hit him up and I was like, yo, I want to shoot with you guys. Can we hang out? And they're like, yeah, dude, let's go. So we started going to all these different coffee shops, and I would just watch them at first because I just wanted to see how they were shooting. And I would watch what they were doing with the light and things like that. And then slowly, my style adapted and it grew into what it is now, which is very different from their style. It's much moodier, it's darker. So my style changed over time, and there's not like a single point in time where that happened. It was just over the course of time. And I think that's where time comes into play is, after you're mimicking and you're adapting that photo, it's just going to take time for you to truly evolve into your own photographic style. And that's the fourth step that I say is evolve. It is going to take time, but once you're following these steps and then you're adapting, you're going to kind of evolve into your own style. So yeah, it does take time, but this process can really help you along the way. But honestly, I think the most important lesson to take away from this video is to be consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean just shoot like as much as you can. I think as long as you stay consistent with your shooting and you're staying inspired and you're just chasing it, like chasing the dream, man, like going out and shooting or just being energetic with it, just loving the craft, you're gonna find your own unique style. It's gonna stand out and it's gonna be awesome. So don't worry about finding your style tomorrow or the next day or next week or next month. That might not happen. But if you follow these 4 steps, I guarantee you will start to find your own style in time. With that said, guys, if you have anything to add to this conversation, if you think there's another step or something, add it to the comments below. This is definitely a subjective topic, and this is just my take on it. This is the way I kind of see it and the way I understand it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. No one's right, no one's wrong. But thanks so much for sticking around. I'm hoping to put out a lot more content soon. So if you're new here, subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thanks for being here, guys. And I will see you in the next video.